Morning, everyone. I guess, like me, you're interested in what I'm going to say today. Yes. Well, good morning. As she has so proudly proclaimed, I'm Rosalind's husband. We've been married now for a few years. That's a good start, isn't it? Yeah, 36 years. Just checking that you're listening. We've been married 37 years. And for those of you who've also been married for some time, you would have had all the experiences that we've had. Good days, bad days. Fun days, not so fun days. That's just life. And it's just the nature of relationships, isn't it? That you'll always have good days, bad days, fun days, and not so good days. But a few weeks ago, Simon had given me this topic calling, he gave it to me and it said, knowing me, knowing you. And as soon as I saw it, I started, like every one of us here would have done, because it was a very famous song not so long ago. And I have to admit that even though I'd heard the song so many times, the only thing I knew about the song was the actual chorus itself, which says, knowing me, knowing you, Don't ask me anything else about it, because I don't know. I don't know what the whole content of the song was about. I didn't know the words, nothing. But as soon as he gave it to me, I thought, I better read up a little bit about it and try and understand the nature of this song. And I did, and I was quite shocked, really, about what the song was all about. And so today, what I'd like to do is to share with you a few things. Firstly, it's the nature of intimate relationships. Intimate relationships. The second thing is when intimate relationships go bad, why it hurts so much. The third thing I'd like to look at is, after reviewing what an intimate relationship is and why it hurts so bad when things go wrong, the third thing is, how about our relationship with God? How is it that God would like us to interact with him? And how is the nature of that? And so those are the three key things that I'm going to really be looking at today. So if you can, just bow your heads and close your eyes with me, and let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for today. We thank you for everything that you have helped us with in our lives for this week. We want to thank you, Lord, also for bringing us today together whilst a number of our brothers and sisters are away at New Wine. I pray to God that you'll help us, that today as we share about knowing me and knowing you, that we will indeed be blessed and leave here today encouraged to get to know you better. Knowing me, knowing you. I thought I'd share the lyrics with you today. The song says, no more carefree laughter. It's silence ever after. Walking through an empty house with tears in my eyes. Here is where the story ends. This is goodbye. Then the chorus says, knowing me, knowing you. There's nothing we can do. Knowing me and knowing you, we just have to face it. This time, we're through. Breaking up is never easy, I know, but I have to go. Knowing me and knowing you, it's the best that I can do. Then the second verse says, memories of good days and bad days, they will be with me always. And in these old familiar rooms, the children would play. Now, there's only emptiness, nothing to say. I guess you'll agree with me that as you listen to and you read through the words of that song, you realize that this is a song about two people who once had a deep and intimate relationship, but now that relationship has come to an end. In fact, one of the most surprising things that happened was that, as you know, ABBA was created with two married couples. One of the married couples were actually going through a divorce when they were singing this song. So it must have been an incredible thing to have to sing whilst you're going through a divorce, to sing the words of this song, where it says, when it's reflecting really on the fact that the carefree laughter that we used to have, it's gone. It's now replaced by silence. Now they're walking through an empty house with tears in their eyes. And this is goodbye, because here is where the story ends. They also reflect on the memories. They say it's good days and there were bad days. They were always going to be with me. And in all these rooms, I could again imagine them going through their house, looking through all the rooms and remembering all the early days, because they're talking about it is in these old rooms all the children would play. Now it's replaced by emptiness, and there's nothing to say. That must be a very, very heartbreaking thing to have to reflect on. I had to ask myself the question, what actually makes a relationship intimate as opposed to being one of good friends? And I found three key things that I think I would share with you today. The first one is vulnerability. Vulnerability. You know, there are several overlapping things when it comes to friendship and intimacy. Friendship involves real closeness, support, and disclosure between two people, but it's all done within a managed boundary. Sometimes you're still presenting a version of yourself that's been put together, but you go to a point where you stop and you don't actually reveal as much as you could. Intimacy, however, involves dropping that filter, letting someone see your rawest insecurities, your unresolved fears, your bad moods, your private thoughts, and trusting that whoever you're sharing all of this with won't reveal it to anyone else. So you're making yourself vulnerable to another, trusting that that person will not betray your confidence. That is an element of vulnerability which helps to create and to develop intimacy. Intimate partners tend to know the identity level stuff. You know, the fears, the values, the trauma, not just the surface facts. Through timeline, intimacy equals an unfiltered vulnerability. Not worrying about what you share with your partner. The second issue is that of interdependence. Friendship, lives run in parallel. You support each other's decisions, but they rarely shape your daily plans. They rarely shape your life. Intimacy, however, is where your lives become intertwined. Your decisions, they affect and they impact both of you. Your finances, where you live. It's the person you call for if you needed comfort. Your family planning, your career moves, anything that really affects you deeply. These are some of the points which you will confide in your intimate partner with. Anything that requires some form of joint negotiation that you need to work on together. It's where your partner's stress or difficult situations actually impacts you. With a friendship, it doesn't really impact you that much. You may think about the person if they're going through a bad time, but in terms of your day-to-day living, it wouldn't impact you as deeply as if you were in an intimate relationship with the person. And the third and final area is that of the commitment. This is where, in friendship, it could be very much a case of me, but in an intimate relationship, it should become a we. Major decisions get made jointly. It's not so much about what I want, it's about what we want. What are we going to work together to achieve? Now, sometimes that can be quite difficult. I know that there are times when Rosalind and I are talking about things, I see things completely differently from her, and the other way around as well. But there must come a point, if ever you're going to move together as a couple or an intimate relationship, you've got to come to a point of compromise and work together for the common good. Intimacy usually comes with a promise to maintain the bond and to work through the conflict, work through the difficulties that you're going through, and protect it. You're protecting it for the well-being of the relationship. You must feel as if I'm giving a marriage course here today. But I'm just trying to highlight to you the key differences between having a friend or having an intimate partner. It's when we reflect on these three key things of the interdependence, the vulnerability, and the mutual commitment. When you find out that these three components are involved in your intimate relationship, you realize why it is, if ever that relationship was to break up, why it hurts as badly as it does. Because what the two people have done is that they have gone to a different level compared with the ones that they would have gone to if they were involved in a friendship relationship. You have now revealed a little bit more of yourself to your partner than you would have done if you were just a friend. I wondered deeply, what do psychologists say about these relationships? And I came across this psychologist by the name of Dr. John Gottman. You know, sometimes we may feel that because we have a very close relationship with a partner, that we should know all about the person. But psychologists say that that simply isn't the case. You can't possibly know everything about your partner, be him a husband or a wife. You can't know that. This Dr. Gottman, did a lot of research focusing on divorce prediction and marital stability by analyzing relationships. And he said that relationship satisfaction isn't built on knowing everything about a partner, but it is built on maintaining curiosity about the partner. He calls this building love maps. Trying to understand a little bit more about your partner. Now, I'm sure a lot of you brothers would agree with me when you say, I've tried hard, but I can't understand my wife. And similarly, the woman would say the same. I've tried very hard and I can't understand my husband. I can't understand the way he thinks. I can't understand the way she thinks. Dr. Gottman was saying there's nothing wrong with the relationship because that is just natural. What we should do to improve the relationship is to encourage that level of constantly trying to understand each other. Now, some of you going red and getting hot and warm about this. But I want to contrast this with what David said in Psalms 139. David is talking about his relationship with God. And he started here in verse 1. He says, Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit down, and you know when I rise up. You can see my thoughts from afar. You understand my going out, and you understand my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. And then he concludes, he says, such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to understand. My intimate partner that I live with may not be able to understand everything about me, but God, you understand so much more about me. He speaks later on in that verse, in that book of Psalms 139, and he says, God, you even knew me when I was being created. He says, God, you knew me when I was in my mother's womb. This is how well God had known him. And this is what David is saying. God knows me in a deep and meaningful and intimate way, more than my partner has known me. Regardless of how many years I may have been living with my partner, and my partner is still learning about me, God, you always know everything about me. This is why I think it is such a folly. If ever I am going through a difficult situation in my life, that I'm trying to pray to God about my situation, to ask him to help me, that I don't actually tell him all the truth. Sometimes we try to really pretty or make it sound a little bit not as bad as it really is. But God, what David is saying here is that, God, you know so much about me. You know me so well. I might as well let you know how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling as though things are going really bad for me, God, I'm telling you, I went somewhere yesterday and I did something I shouldn't have done, and I'm sorry. Don't hide it, but just share it. Be open with him. Tell him what it is. Tell him how you are. Tell him how you're feeling. Tell him how difficult the situation is in your life. Just share with him everything. Do not hide it, because God already knows a lot about it. The other verses he says, David said, is, where can I actually go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to heaven, you're there. If I make my bed in hell, you're there. If I rise on the wings of the morning and I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me and your hand will hold me. I cannot physically put myself anywhere where you won't find me. So God, my situation is like this. I feel weak. I feel hungry. I feel lonely. I feel worried. I feel anxious. I feel scared. Lord, help me. He even goes on to say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light becomes night around me. And I find that particular verse to be such an incredible verse, that even in the darkness, God can use the darkness to shine the light on his situation. The other thing I find interesting is that David also spoke about some other things which he said. He said in Psalms 42, As the deer pants for streams of water, it is so my soul pants for you, my God. In other words, I see a very, very thirsty deer looking for water. That's the way in which I want to look and search for you. That's the way in which I would like to be found by you. I want to find myself also at that place where you can supply my needs. I want to have that relationship with you so that wherever I am, whatever situation I'm in, I can come to that place and you can bless me. He says in Psalms 42:2, my soul thirsts for God, for the living God. Where can I go and meet my God? Psalmist David here is talking a lot about the way in which his heart is panting or looking for God. He also says in Psalms chapter 51, Lord, create in me a pure heart and renew a right spirit within me. Give me that hunger that I can always seek to try and get myself into a good, strong, and intimate relationship with you. The level of relationship that we can have with God is deeper than the intimate relationship that we can have with our peers, if you like. The Apostle Paul also says in Philippians 3:10, he says, I want to know Christ, yes, and I want to also know the power of his resurrection. I want to participate in his sufferings, and I want to become like him. Here we have another person who was seeking after finding a good, deep, intimate relationship with God. I have found out that I can learn about God in two different ways. I can learn about him from an educational perspective and fill my head with a lot of knowledge about what he can and can't do. The other thing I can do is to have an experiential relationship with him, where I can find not just the words and the beautiful stories that are hidden within the scriptures or revealed within the scriptures, but I, through my own experience of knowing God, can actually have the testimonies of what some of these people have had within the Bible. When people have said that they were healed, when people have said that they were delivered, when people have said that I was in a difficult place, but God brought me out. Or like what Rob said earlier, his friend who has recently come to Christ and has now gone through the process of going to church and giving their life over to the Lord. I want to be in that place where I am having that relationship with God, having that experience with God that will help me to know him and the power of his resurrection. Not just in my head, but in my heart. I need to know him. And I would like to encourage each and every one of us here today. Don't get caught up in knowing all that you can about what God can do or has done and learn about it from a historical perspective. But get involved where you are actually experiencing what the power of God can do for you in your life. If you have a situation in your life that you're having difficulty with, learn to pray about it and give it to God. If there's anything going wrong in your life, just learn to give God the praise and the glory and trust him that he will help you. God will help us all, but we have got to give our lives to him. Let our hearts be open to him and allow his Spirit to come into our hearts and to help us to have and engage in a deep, meaningful, intimate relationship with him. If we're not careful, we may think that the head knowledge of God is enough. But I want to share with you today that I believe that God wants us to have a deeper and more meaningful relationship with him. At this time, I'd like to ask Michelle and the group, the worship team, to come back. And if there's anyone here who would like to come to know God in a deeper way and would like to be prayed for, please come. And the ministry team, the prayer team will come and pray for you.